Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 27 of Duke's Download. And today we have somebody as our guest who I've known for quite a while. Somebody who has a new memoir out, TMI, My Life and Scandal, Perez Hilton. And I believe he just sent me. Oh, no, wait, 1 second. Waiting for him to send me a request, or let me see if he's on. 1 second. Hold on. How do I send a request here? There we go. Request. Send request. It's taking a moment. This is waiting for Perez Hilton. Oh,
Oh,
hey. How are
uh,
you? Uh, Crazy busy, I
yeah,
imagine.
and dealing with three kids at home, which is a lot, especially because now it's close-ish to November, and that's almost 3 months
Mhm.
back at school for my children that are
Oh,
7,
right.
5, and 3, but we're doing remote learning, and they haven't been in class since March. And my kids, I don't know about anybody else's, but my kids are starting to really struggle with like random things. Like actually both of my older kids today, this might be really boring for people, I'm sorry. Both of them at separate points were struggling with PE from home. So,
Oh, wait. So they actually are doing virtual
yes.
PE
So
lessons?
my son
Wow.
didn't want to dance. He didn't want to be dancing in front of his classmates looking at him on Zoom. My son is kind of shy, which I love. You know, every one of my kids is different. My middle child is the big ham of the family. Like she loves the camera. My son loves being behind the camera, so he'll often record my TikTok videos for me, and watch them be
That's
silly.
adorable.
But yeah, so we had to work through that. Um, and then my daughter also had PE, and I randomly was walking by her room and she had the screen off during PE. And I'm like, wait a minute, why is your camera off? You're on Zoom. You should be doing PE with all your classmates. And she's like, it's too hard. And I'm like, okay, well, if it's too hard, then do what you can. And then after I caught
Mhm.
her, I guess she wasn't expecting to be caught. She didn't handle it as well as my son and had a full on meltdown. We needed to have a breakout room with the coach, her teacher, and then like even with her like she just did not handle it all well. Like she was not communicating and it was a hot mess. It was a hot mess of a day. And then I had to go
Oh
leave
my
and do this
God.
thing for an interview and I also had like the
Jesus.
busiest day. Like I'm like all like flustered because like I spent 3 hours this morning promoting this new thing that I have. I've just announced that I'm doing my first ever curated box, which I'm excited about
I
because
saw that.
a lot a
Congratulations.
lot of these well I've subscribed to boxes before, and the big boxes that the companies do, those are usually always a good deal. But when I've seen
Hmm.
influencers do boxes, a lot of those are crap. And the reason that the big companies like a FabFitFun can do the good deals is because they're selling so many of them. They work in volume and they're
Hmm.
getting amazing deals from the brands. And I was so floored that a lot of these companies that I reached out to that I use myself daily and love wanted to be a part of it
Hmm.
and gave us
Hmm.
their product at cost and some even for free to include in my box. So if anyone wants
Wow. Is it mostly male,
everybody
female
for products
products or
for
both? Or
everybody, um, uh, it's sign up for
wow.
the wait list right now at perezhiltonbox.com. That's perezhiltonbox.com. I'm gonna be. I'll give you a. I just had a snack too. I'm like, I barely ate today, which I rarely do. I usually eat, but I just don't have time.
I can
I
relate. I can
usually eat.
relate.
That's never a problem. I not. It was like one thing after the other. Hello, everybody. I see your comments. Um, uh, I don't even know what I was saying. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I was going to
Oh, about
announce.
your
I'm going to
about
announce like every couple of days or so one of the different items that are in the box. But I'll tell you like the overreaching theme. Like I'm cheesy. I love a theme, so I wanted my box to have a theme. And before I put it together, I was like, well, what should be in it? Like I was almost contemplating like picking some of my favorite foods, but then I thought, you know what? That's not what I need right now. I did that too much earlier this year. I gained 42 pounds in 3 months during the first lockdown. So I don't think the world needs food right now. I mean, there are people that do, and you know, I hope that get them.
no,
But
I know what you mean.
I wanted to create a box that was centered on mostly wellness products or beauty products or just all sorts of different products that I think will add to your life, will de-stress, will make you happier, and
Mhm.
bring light because we need more of that. It's been an awful year.
I mean, seriously. But no, actually, I mean, I wanted to ask you, like, wait, how your life's been because, I mean, the fact that, since March we've been in quarantine having 3 kids. I mean, I think I don't know if you remember, we did an interview like 4 years ago on YouTube, and I was thinking, like, since then you've had 2 kids. I mean, you've done so much. I thought, obviously, given the fact you have this new book, it would be a good time to catch up and talk to you. But I wanted to ask you, like, how did the book project even come about? Because I mean, obviously, I've been seeing it everywhere. By the way, I think best book title of all time, like genius, TMI, My Life in Scandal. That's like the most perfect memoir title I could
I
ever
like
come
to be
up with.
honest.
So,
I did not come up with
congratulations.
it. My publishers did, but we were all brainstorming, and when I heard theirs, I'm like, okay, I love that. I wish I came up with it. Um, I love I love being 110% honest, which is really rare for people.
Mhm.
Like there are people that are
Mhm.
honest, maybe they're 90% honest, but nobody is ever 110%. Like even yesterday, I was on Entertainment Tonight Canada, and
Mhm.
they called me shady or whatever, or messy or whatever, because I was being honest. There's a difference between being honest and being mean. Nothing that I said
Mhm.
in that interview was mean. I did talk about Lady Gaga.
No. I watched it, and I mean, to me, it's like I thought it was really refreshing because you were fully honest about the fact that I mean, it's like I'm sure you've met Melissa Rivers. Melissa Rivers. She said I did an interview with her where she goes, look, sometimes it's fun and nice and easy to be in the shallow end of the pool. Like not everything has to be like super. In fact, in this day and age, we need some light, fun, like silly like stuff in our lives. So I appreciate that you're just like, no, I actually want to give people kind of an escape from like this
Yeah.
constant
And I
crazy world,
mentioned to Entertainment Tonight Canada that I was talking about Lady Gaga in my book and in interviews because I'm exploiting our past relationship to sell books. Simple as that. Duh. Isn't that why most people put things in books? They want to sell books and also honest and truthful. And that
Yeah.
was a big part of my life and something that I am known for. So I had to talk about it. But before I even began writing this book, I was writing another book. I was trying to get a health and wellness book sold, and I spent a lot of time on it, and nobody wanted to buy it, which bummed me out. But then I said, you know what? People don't want salads from me yet. Maybe in the future. Right now, they want McDonald's, and that's fine. I'll give them McDonald's. I love McDonald's. I don't judge it. I enjoy a Big Mac and French fries and a large apple Coke with an apple pie. Um, So thankfully, during the process of writing the wellness book, my two co-writers for the memoir had reached out to me expressing interest in writing an autobiography, and I said, "Oh, no, really. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm really passionate about this other book." So when the other book didn't happen, I was like, "Well, all right, let's do it, you guys." And here we are, and I'm so happy that I worked really hard on it, and people have been really responding to it. And of course, I understand
Mhm.
all of the celebrity stuff has been getting the headlines, but a lot of people have also reached out to me saying that those first few chapters in my new book, where I talk about my childhood and my college experience and my formative
Mhm.
years, that really resonated with them.
Mhm.
And that surprised me because I almost didn't, I didn't want to put that in the book. I told my co-writers, I think we should start in 2004 at the beginning of my professional career. And they're no, it's important to get the full picture and to start at the very beginning. So we did. And I'm happy that
Right.
people have really responded well to that.
Well, no, I mean, because I mean, yes, there's the fun sort of, gossipy stuff, but you've had a pretty unbelievable life. I mean, a pretty incredible journey. Things that I didn't know, like the fact that your parents fled from Cuba, and that's how, like, had it not been for that, I mean, this whole insane, amazing life that you've led wouldn't have even happened, So maybe you can talk a little about like how that started and how you ended up coming into. I know it's a lot, but maybe you can tell people a little bit about like how things started and went where
Yeah,
they went.
I have said this
Yeah.
before. I don't know if I would have ended up exactly where I'm at if it weren't for my parents and my upbringing. Because in Anglo America, which is dominant America, the word gossip
Mhm.
has negative connotations. It's frowned upon. But in Latino culture, chisme, to chismear, isn't viewed the same way. It's more accepted and celebrated. Like everybody I knew was a chismoso and a chismosa, and it was just being informed. And there was no bigger chismosa than my
Mhm.
mother, who knew everything about everybody, from the
Mhm.
neighbors down the street to the parents at my school to our relatives. She kept me informed, and she also used to get all the Spanish language celebrity magazines that I used to read growing up. So I was just around that and consuming that. And I also say that if it weren't for my Cuban immigrant parents instilling in me at a very young age an incredible work ethic, I wouldn't still be here.
Mhm.
Because the shelf life
Mhm.
of an influencer isn't very long. And especially now, it keeps getting shorter and shorter and shorter. I mean, I'm 16 years
Mhm.
into my career. I'm old as fuck now, but I'm still here. I'm still making headlines. I'm still getting amazing opportunities and launching this, doing that.
Mhm.
And I think
Mhm.
most of that has to do with the hustle. I have an incredible work ethic,
Mhm.
and I make things
Mhm.
happen. I don't wait and sit
Mhm.
back hoping things will happen for me or to me. Like, I really want to do
Mhm.
more in television. I've done a lot of TV stuff in the past. So now I'm actively, even more so than before, working new and different angles, trying to create TV opportunities
Mhm.
for myself. Like um,
Mhm.
I talked about this in a couple of interviews, so I won't belabor it. But for many years, I
No,
was
no,
very
I'm interested.
passionate about getting this show about gay dads on TV, and everybody turned it down.
Mhm.
They all told me it was too gay, but they wouldn't say that, right? Because they could get in trouble for saying that. So they would all say it's too niche. It's too niche. Our audience wants to see women on television. They want to see themselves. But I would always say in the room, because I'm not an idiot, it's a gay dad show, parentheses, and all the women in their lives, from grandmothers to their best
Yep.
friends to the nannies to, in some instances, the women that they're co-parenting with. So for the last 7 years, I've been passionate about this, haven't given up on it, even though when we pitched it originally over the course of 6 months, everybody passed on it. But over the last 6 years to 7 years, whenever I would be in a meeting with a network or a production company or a syndicator, I always bring that idea back up. And then last year in 2019, I emailed Andy Cohen and I said, I pitched this to Bravo many years ago and you weren't in the room. And this was back when he was still working in development, which he doesn't do anymore. And I was very passionate about this idea. And he responded saying, yeah, it's too niche for Bravo. And I emailed back and I was like, well, if you ever change your mind or if you can help in any way, I'm still passionate about this. And I'm so passionate about it. I know that there might be some networks that don't want to work with me as talent because I have baggage and they might be turned off by that. I would love to work on the show behind the scenes as a producer. I explicitly said that in an email. I find out a month or two ago that now Andy is developing a gay dad show. So I did not reach out to him because I didn't want to feel if I reached out to him, I would have felt like a loser, like groveling. But I did have my manager reach out to the production company that is working with Andy on the show, and they said that there is no room for me at all, either as talent or a producer. So people are like, you should sue Andy and Bravo and blah, blah, blah. Let me explain something. Saying that I wanted to do a gay dad's show, that is a concept. That's not a format. I can't sue over a concept, and I wouldn't even, yeah,
Well, that's
even
Hollywood
if it
for
was
you.
a
I mean,
format and he
that's
straight
just
up
business.
stole my format, I wouldn't have sued because I don't want to burn. I mean, even me talking about this publicly, it's gotten back to me that it's upset Andy and it's upset World of Wonder, who's doing this show with him. They were not happy that I went public with this. But I'm not going to.
My dad wrote in the comments, my dad literally wrote, typical Hollywood. Because my dad was a producer and an agent, and so he gets it.
But I'm not going to sue over it.
It's
I don't want to. I don't mind ruffling some feathers to let them know that I'm pissed, but I'm not going to kill the chicken and eat it.
No, I mean, not that you need to know, but I'm not that you have any doubt, but it shows you have great instinct, and obviously you've got the mind where you're gonna. You've already come up with a million amazing ways to promote yourself and to expand your business and your. So I admire you for that. But one thing one of the things I really thought was kind of fascinating when I read it was that you wrote that when you came up with the name Perez Hilton, that of course, like, we know where the Hilton part came from, but that the Perez sort of embodied like a few different sort of parts of you, the Latino aspect of you, the gay part of you. Like, I went, wow, like I never would have thought that it was that sort of, intentional, and that sort of like it was meant to have sort of that meaning behind it. But maybe you can talk very briefly, like how you went from it sort of just being a hobby, and like the fact that you just loved that sort of material, just as sort of a pleasurable hobby type of thing, and then how you expanded that into sort of a persona.
I mean, as we've seen since I started, that is the case with many people. Look at one of the big breakout phenomenons of 2020, TikTok. A lot of the popular TikTokers of 2020 and 2019 really just started it as a hobby, not thinking anything would come of it for them. That girl that's the most followed person on TikTok, Charlie D'Amelio, she got popular on there so quickly, and she didn't think she would. She wasn't trying to get popular. It just happened for her. So, I started my
Mm-hmm.
blog back in 2004 as a hobby, and it just
Mm-hmm.
quickly became big, big. Like that's one of the things that hasn't changed. The speed which things can happen on the internet and on social media like that. But as I mentioned to you
Mm-hmm.
earlier, all of my peers, with a few exceptions, are forgotten about or gone. Even a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
celebrities that I was talking about when I started, they're either not popular anymore or they're dead. Rest in peace. So yeah, you mentioned Melissa Rivers, and I
Mm-hmm.
wish that Melissa knew, or maybe she does know, but I mentioned Joan in so many of my interviews because Joan is one of my biggest inspirations in life. Because,
No, it's so funny you say that because when you made that comment, when you said, "Of course I'm going to use my Gaga stories to sell books," that's literally exactly what Joan would have said. I mean, you guys have a very similar like sort of sense of
yeah,
humor and
and,
point of view. You know.
I keep it so honest. Like 16 years later, I am busting my butt and hustling so hard because I love it, but
Mm-hmm.
also because I have to. I don't have, well, this is just for Instagram. So, I can curse lightly. But even if you upload it on
Yeah.
YouTube, light cursing, their new policy is fine. I see so many lovely faces I know.
Oh.
Hello to Connie Pena and Al Dente Diva and Ozzy and Eminem House and DJ Rockstar Aaron and everybody else. Thank you for watching. I just burped. Anyways, I don't have fuck you money in the bank because
Yeah.
just having my children, that was close to $1 million cash. It was not a cheap process having three biological children through surrogacy.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when I was
Mm-hmm.
younger, I wasted millions of dollars in lawsuits and settlements, and I wasted millions of dollars in my bachelor pad house. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
so frank, I don't make as much in 2020 as I used to in 2010. And that's true for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
even actors.
Mm-hmm.
Entertainment,
Yep.
because now there are so many more platforms and so many more people creating content, people are getting paid more less for the same thing that they used to do. It's wild. Unless you're black,
Mm-hmm.
like on a big network
Yep.
show or whatever. So that hustle and drive and necessity is what keeps me going. Um, and Joan was like that a lot. She suffered so many setbacks in her life and failures and
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
tragedy and that
Mm-hmm.
awful thing. So she had to hustle. She
Yep.
needed that hustle. That hustle kept her
Yep.
going and that fire inside of her burning. And same for me. I have 5 people that depend on me, my 3 kids and my mom that I also
Mm-hmm.
support, and my sister who also works with me. All of that weight is on my
Mm-hmm.
shoulders. My goal, my dream, I
Yep.
hope and am hustling so hard so that when I'm in my 50s, in 7.5 years, time flies, I hope that I don't have to work as hard by then. I hope that I have my fuck you money then. I'll still work. I love working, but I also want
Mm-hmm.
I love being a dad. I'm a great dad, but I know that I could be an even better father if I was more present. And I'm very present, but I still
Mm-hmm.
have to work and I work hard
Mm-hmm.
and a lot. I want to be able to just take a break whenever I want and play, but sometimes I can't. I want to be able to just take a real 2-week vacation. Oh my God, your mom is on. Hello, mom.
She sends her
I
love, as you can
saw.
see. Yeah.
I'm sure this is something that your mom probably had to struggle with too. Parental guilt.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
your mom was one of the top pop stars on the planet and making a lot of money and providing for the family. And there's pressure to keep earning
Mhm.
money, and and
Yep.
also,
Oh, look, I mean, this whole thing, I mean, I know you were maybe referring more to like when I was a kid, but even now, like, I mean, for actors and musicians, I mean, with this, this ongoing pandemic, I mean, God knows, working, if you're a musician or an actor or a, whatever, or I know you do so many different things. I mean, when you rely on, when the economy is shut down the way it is, you sort of don't know when your next work is going to come, and that's a
yeah.
concern whoever you are and
And it's
whatever sort of
affected
level
me
you're at.
negatively as it has many
Yeah.
people. My podcast, like, we're basically doing it for free.
Yeah.
We were doing so many ads on my podcast at the beginning of the year, and now we're lucky if we have one ad a show. So,
Yeah.
I know a few things. I know that showbiz is also just a lot of perseverance and not giving up, and I'm not a quitter. I know that hard work matters more than talent, and being professional and easy to work with will get you very, very far. I think that might surprise people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
anybody that I've ever worked with, they know that I show up to set or work or do whatever early. I stay late. And here's the best thing: I don't complain. Like, you would be like, I've done so many different things in my life, from acting to reality television. I can keep it vague. A couple of years ago, I did this show for the Food Network, and it was about celebrities cooking. So many complainers, you know, um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine. They still work, but I like to think that those that don't complain will probably get more work. And I think, like, everybody that was working with me on that experience has only great things to say about me. So whatever. I love
Mm-hmm.
working. I say that the
Well, I mean, I know
day
you. I know.
that
I,
you know
I don't think.
um,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I work because I have to. Hey, Caitlin. I don't have my fuck you money in the bank yet, but also working from, and the struggle is, I don't want to work as hard as I do because I work like a crazy person, but I still always want to work because I love it. And working is an act of selfishness for me, because if I probably moved out of Los Angeles and moved to like Las Vegas or somewhere real cheap with real cheap homes and no state taxes and all that jazz, I probably could manage, and I would get rid of my nannies and be just a full-time dad. I
Mm-hmm.
I could probably live with what I have. But if I were to do that, then it would be almost impossible in 15 years' time, when all my kids are out of the house and on to college, to work, because people would have forgotten about me and not care.
Mm-hmm.
In order to
Right.
stay in the game, you have to stay in the game. And I love the game. I love
Yep.
playing.
Absolutely. No, I mean, and I think, I mean, and I wouldn't even say it's selfish. I mean, you're also you're having to provide for your family and for your kids. I mean, believe me, I'm sure my mom and dad could tell you. I mean, I mean, look, I'm 28 and I still, am very close to them and ask them for things. And, I mean, so that's a lifelong commitment. I know, I mean, I know from the other vantage point, but I wanted to ask you also, I know we're running out of time, but one thing I admire about you is you've really used your platform to talk about politics, which is something that, a lot of your followers, especially because you have a lot of young followers that aren't necessarily plugged in. I think it's something that could be really, or is really valuable. So I mean, I wanted to ask you, like, was that sort of a conscious decision that you said, okay, I know it may turn some people off, but I'm going to talk about my political point of view?
No, it wasn't. There wasn't ever any doubt. Just like I had never doubted that I was going to be a dad, or just like there wasn't ever any doubt in my mind that I would be openly gay. Like, these are just facts and who I am, and I've never been afraid to speak my mind. I am often too honest, and it gets me in trouble. What frustrates me though is, and I sort of get it, but it bums me out. You know, I love entertainment, and I view entertainment as entertainment. But a lot of people
Hmm.
view politics as entertainment, and it's not. It really should be about getting
Hmm.
shit done. It should be about
Yep.
ha, ha, and whatever the fuck is on the TV or whatever. You know, I did an interview recently with a talk radio host in the United Kingdom, and I
Hmm.
was misunderstanding the situation there. I asked because I thought there were multiple political parties in the UK, and there are, but this, and maybe this person was wrong, but I don't think so. The talk radio host said yes, there's a bunch of parties, but still there's only two main ones, and they're the two main ones that people vote for. And I wish that in the US there were more than two parties that people could vote for, because then it wouldn't be so much us versus them. It would really be, okay, what
Hmm.
are the issues important to me, and then what people are speaking to me and the issues that are important to me. You know, because like I consider
Hmm.
myself, I don't even like calling myself a Democrat. Like that, like I'm bigger than that. Like that's a stifling label to me. I am a liberal
Hmm.
centrist, which is why I loved and was so excited for Pete Buttigieg, because I think he's a liberal
Yeah.
centrist or a realist. Like I want a
Yep.
realist. I want somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
I want
progressive
somebody who is
pragmatist,
smart,
basically. Yeah.
who can get shit done
Yeah.
and capable.
Well, you and I think, have been pretty much lockstep politically, at least since 2016. You and I were both Hillary people, and then we were Pete people, and then now, obviously, Biden people. But
Biden person, to
I
be
just don't
honest.
understand
Like
how any.
this may not be the messaging that he and his people like. I'm not passionate about Joe Biden. I don't even like Joe Biden. I'm fine with Joe Biden. Um, to be honest, I was passionate.
You're just anti-Trump.
And
You're
some
very
people
much
might mock
anti-Trump.
me for this, but fuck it, I don't care. I was passionate about Hillary Clinton. I did have confidence in her smarts and in her ability, and Russia
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
sexism and a bunch of other, and the fucking electoral
Hmm.
college, which I think is bullshit and needs to be gotten
Hmm.
rid of,
Hmm.
got in the way, you know. But and I hate to
Yeah.
burst bubbles, I fully expect Donald Trump to get reelected. I
I was going
am
to ask you
not
what you
even
thought.
bullshitting. I expect that. I am mentally prepared for that. Um, he's not against playing dirty. We saw in Baldwin Park
Hmm.
people setting fire to a ballot box. I don't know what's going to happen. I would rather prepare for and expect a Trump reelection than get my hopes truly up high in a major way and then have to deal with what I felt
Right.
like in 2016, which was like a death. I was in mourning for a
Right.
long
Right.
time. And then thankfully, 2018 was a great year, because by 2018, I almost was immune to Donald Trump. Like I stopped paying attention to him. I didn't care. Oh, whatever. I've forgotten about him. And then last year, things started to ramp up again with, the primaries and the election, and it became okay. He's the consciousness a little bit more, but I don't know.
Right.
I a lot of my family still, my family are in Miami, and they're Cuban. So
I was
the
right.
majority of
Right.
them are.
I've heard that Biden's having a big problem with the Cuban community in Florida. That he may be doing better with seniors and some other groups, but that he's having a problem because there are all these attacks about socialism
Yeah.
and
Well, it's not
everything
even
in
that. Like, I
Florida.
honestly don't. The only way that really red areas are going to transform transform are a new influx of people from blue parts of the country, which is happening. I know many people that have been moving to
Mm-hmm.
Austin, Texas. So if not this
Mm-hmm.
election, then in 4 more years, Texas might turn
Yeah.
blue and for good. A lot of people are moving to Texas. A
Yep.
lot of people are moving to Colorado. Um, so that's
Yep.
one way. And then the other way is people from those red cities and states, if they get an education somewhere else and they see a world that is bigger than that which they knew, that opens their mind and it opens their thinking and it changes people. Um, so yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Miami really changing too much because, it's a lot of indoctrination. Like the young people are Republican as
Mm-hmm.
well. Because like I went to an all boys school that was Jesuit and they were programming you from a young age. This is what you're taught. This is how you believe. This is how you act, blah, blah, blah. So most of the
Mm-hmm.
boys coming out of that all boy Jesuit school that I went to are Republicans, just like their parents, just like their grandparents, blah, 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 blah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Last question for you related to politics but and obviously I know your almost entire focus has always been on entertainment. But what do you make of the fact that, like, what do you think of the fact that our media culture and environment, how it's contributed to like polarization in politics? Like, as someone who basically, at least in the entertainment field, sort of, has been a media, trailblazer, like, what do you make of the fact that we have like this echo chamber of Fox News and liberal media? Like, what do you make of all that? How do you think how do you think we got here, and what do you think we could potentially do to get out of it? I know it's a loaded question, but
Um, I
like, did you sort of witness did you consciously sort of witness the creation of this media environment while you were sort of going through your own experience in entertainment media? Do you see some
yeah, I
synergy
mean, hello,
there?
we have a reality TV star in the White House. Um, the
Yeah.
internet and social media also played a part in this, but 2020 has blown my mind in so many ways because it's shown to me to be painfully obvious and true that so many Americans that I
Mm-hmm.
thought were, I get it, you're a Republican or a Democrat, whatever, but so many people are really buying into conspiracy theories and believing wackadoodle.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I think, is just 4 years of Donald Trump, 3.5 years of Donald Trump, sowing the distrust in the media. And not even that, sowing distrust in government. He's the president and he is
Mm-hmm.
planting seeds of distrusting the government. Like so many people are saying, oh, the COVID numbers are not true. Those are inflated. Not that many Americans have died of COVID. Like ridiculous shit. Like I heard somebody say, if you have COVID and you die in a car crash, your death is listed as a COVID death. Like that's what they're saying to themselves. Or like
Yeah.
so many people being
Yep.
horrible to Chrissy Teigen, who had a miscarriage just a few weeks ago, and believing that she's a pedophile and all these things. And it's like,
I
but
mean,
it
well,
makes sense
it's just
because
it's a big
that's how people get indoctrinated into cults. That's how cults happen. It
yeah.
doesn't happen overnight, and seemingly
Yep.
sane people then start believing ridiculous,
Yep.
crazy shit, and then they really think it's true.
Well, I think, it's all intentional because, that's why Trump won't publicly condemn QAnon, because he's hoping that more people will be so distracted by, oh, Chrissy Teigen or Tom Hanks is a pedophile, as opposed to, oh shit, vote, voter suppression and gerrymandering and, and income inequality and all these things that they would rather people be, distracted about, instead of, they'd rather than be worried about Chrissy Teigen's a pedophile than, oh shit, our system is being, rigged against black people and, Latino people and gay people and women and all that. So I think it's by design, and Trump, as you said, is sort of the misinformation spreader in chief, But anyway, I agree with you. I don't know how to feel. On the one, I have days where I feel like optimism, but then all of a sudden I'll see like the comparison. October 14th, 2016, Hillary Clinton ahead by 10 points, Joe Biden ahead by, I just go, why are we
I
even
can't
like paying attention
trust the
to
polls
any polls
anymore.
right now?
I don't think I'll ever be
No,
able to trust
no,
polls again. And we've had
no,
two
no.
elections now within 16 years where the majority of Americans voted for somebody other than the person that ended up in the White House. If this happened
Yeah,
twice to Republicans, they would change, they would make an
right.
amendment to the Constitution. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah. It's so illogical. And it actually, last thing I'll say, but like, I almost had like a panic attack thinking about this the other day. That wait a second. So my vote as someone in California literally
Then somebody,
matters less or counts less
yeah,
than someone in Ohio or Florida. Like, it would be unconstitutional if it weren't in the Constitution. That like the idea. I mean, not that I'm a legal expert, but the idea of equal protection and all that. Like, I'm literally an unequal citizen compared to someone who lives in Ohio or North Carolina. Whatever. It's so mind fucking or whatever. If you think about it, it's a mind fuck. But on that
I just hope,
on that note,
I hope, I
I
am expecting Trump to get reelected, but I hope that, after the 2016 election, I ended up on Fox News more than once because I went live and I was crying, and all these conservatives and Republicans were mocking me for crying after Trump got reelected. I hope this time around I'm crying again, but happy tears.
me too, me too, me too. Anyway, Perez, Mario, I'm so grateful and thank you for your time. And hopefully I get to see you in
Hopefully, I
person
my
soon.
house.
Yeah, I hope. Well,
Thank
all my love to your
yours.
family, and thank you for
Bye.
taking the
Bye,
time.
everybody.
See you later. Have a good night. Bye, everybody.